Since Toy Story 5 dropped, I keep seeing the same thing in every comment section. Just wall-to-wall Bonnie hate. And I get it, I felt it too. But then I actually thought about it, and I realized something that I can't unsee. Bonnie didn't ruin Toy Story. We did. And I need to explain how. So, why does everyone hate Bonnie? If you scroll through enough comments, you'll notice people always come back to the same two reasons. The first one is Toy Story 4. Andy, the golden child, the kid who could have committed tax fraud and people would have forgiven him, gives Bonnie his most prized possession in one of the most emotionally devastating scenes in cinema history. Grown adults sobbing in theaters. Me included, I'm not ashamed. And Bonnie loses interest in Woody. She stops carrying him around, leaves him in her backpack, and forgets he exists. The internet went absolutely feral. Ungrateful child. Blight upon the franchise. Then came Toy Story 5, the second reason. There's Bonnie on a tablet, and the discourse goes absolutely feral. She's choosing screens over toys. Bonnie doesn't deserve them. Andy would never. Andy. Yeah, let's talk about Andy. Here's something that's gonna ruin your day. The version of Andy you love doesn't actually exist. Think about it. What do we actually know about him? He played with his toys, grew up, went to college, then gave them away. That's it. And that's not really a character. It's just the biggest moments of his life. Your brain filled in everything else. Seriously, try it. Describe Andy without talking about Woody. What's his personality? What's his biggest flaw? What's something he wanted besides playing with toys? It's weird, isn't it? You can probably describe Woody, Buzz, Jessie, and even Rex in seconds. But Andy? You don't know if Andy ever threw Buzz across the room on a bad day. You don't know if he went through a phase where he was obsessed with video games and completely ignored Woody for 3 months. You don't know if he had off days, bad moods, moments where he wasn't just a perfect toy owner. And you don't know because Pixar never showed you. And that was the move. That was the whole trick. Andy's the friend you see once a month. He shows up and he's in a great mood. You have an amazing time, and then he leaves before you can see anything complicated about him. You never see him tired or see him making questionable decisions. You never see him being human. But Bonnie? Bonnie is your roommate. Bonnie is there every single day. You see her excited, cranky, acting exactly like an 8-year-old acts. Which is to say, chaotically and without apology. And nobody idolizes a roommate the way they idolize the friend they barely see. So the problem isn't Bonnie, it's that the version of Andy we remember never really existed. He was just a projection, and the second Pixar handed us a kid with actual screen time, we couldn't handle it. But here's the part that actually got me, because this isn't just a Bonnie thing, and it's not just a Toy Story thing. This is a pattern, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Stay with me. Think about how this works on the internet. There's always that creator, celebrity, or person everyone loves until they show up too much. Until you see them every single day. Until the contradictions start peeking through. Until they act human. And then the hate comes. Not because they changed, but because you start seeing them more often. We love people in controlled doses. That's just how parasocial relationships work. The moment someone gets overexposed, the flaws that were always there become suddenly unforgivable. And Bonnie got the Pixar version of posting too much. She got screen time, real screen time, and the audience did what it always does. It turned on her. So, let me say it. If Andy had been the main kid from Toy Story 3 onward, you would be making the exact same videos about Andy right now. And I promise you that. Okay, but here's the real reason. The one nobody wants to say out loud. Remember the end of Toy Story 3? Andy kneeling down, introducing each toy to Bonnie. This is Woody. He's been my pal for as long as I can remember. That scene wasn't just Andy passing his toys to a kid. It felt like he was passing his childhood to you. Because you'd been watching these movies since you were a child. You projected yourself into that moment. You made it yours. So when Bonnie doesn't treat Woody like a sacred artifact, when she shoves him in a backpack, gets distracted, and just acts like a kid, it doesn't register as a child being a child. It feels like someone disrespecting your childhood, the one you loaned her. So, quick question. When was the last time you actually played with a toy? And not as a joke. Not because your little cousin handed you one. I mean, sitting on the floor, making voices, inventing a story, completely forgetting what time it is. Most of us haven't done that in years. And also, playing with toys, I don't mean collected or displayed on a shelf. Played, fully committed using your imagination, all in. Well, Bonnie does that. She does it constantly, with full energy and creativity, the exact same way Andy did. You're just watching it from the outside now. And from the outside, childhood looks like chaos, because we forgot what it felt like to be inside it. And about Toy Story 5, because I know that's what brought you here, the movie isn't tablets bad, toys good. That's not what's happening with Bonnie. She's not ignoring her toys because she's a screen zombie. She's just trying to make friends. She's trying to figure out how to connect in a world where kids socialize completely different than they did in the 90s. Bonnie is lonely. She's an 8-year-old who doesn't know how to ask for help, and she's just doing what kids do. And honestly, what adults do too. She's retreating to a screen because real connection feels hard. The movie isn't making her a villain. It's showing you a child who's overwhelmed. And the internet looked at that and said, yeah, she deserves it. So let me land this. You don't hate Bonnie because she's badly written. You don't hate her because she's ungrateful or whatever word the discourse landed on this week. You hate her because she shows up too much, because she's too real, because watching her be a kid, uninhibited, unaware, fully present, reminds you of something you lost and she doesn't even know she has yet. Andy was an idea, a perfect, emotionally convenient ghost. You could love him because he never got complicated. Bonnie is a person, a character with a little more depth, but she's real in the way that matters. She has good days and bad days, and she doesn't owe you a flawless performance of idealized childhood. You don't hate Bonnie. You hate what she represents. And that says nothing about her. It says everything about you. So, if this hit different than you expected, drop a comment. Seriously, I wanna know, is there someone in your life you love specifically because you barely see them, and someone you've completely written off because you know them too well? Subscribe if you're new. We do this a lot around here. See you in the next one.